Hi everybody, I'm Bill Sanders and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today we're going to take a look at Ard's collection. And Ard's collection it's a very big collection, it's very varied, and it's very good. The the variation in this collection is really remarkable, and the sizes too. I wasn't able to get everything in, but I think I got a good representative sample. So let's take a look at Ard's collection. And what Ard told me, he said there were a number of things that he thought about when he collecting watches. First of all was complication. Second was the history of the watch or the brand, the build of the movement, the finishing of the movement, the emotional value, and the looks of the watch. All of those things went into selecting a watch. I couldn't think of a better one myself. I need a cup of coffee to get through all of these. All right, let's start off. The first one up in the upper left there is a Vulcain Cricket, and I love these watches. They've been around for a long time. They have a series that all of the U.S. presidents, I think from Harry Truman on, have had. But the thing that probably most people know them for is that they have an alarm. Down below it there you can see the movement. It's a Vulcain movement. I think it's a V10, but I'm not positive about that. Now, in the upper right, there's a Mickey Mouse watch, but this is not any Mickey Mouse watch. Gerald Genta, at some point in his career, decided he's going to make Disney character watches, and these watches are just amazing. This one has a jumping hour, and then the Mickey hand is pointing to the different times on it. If you don't know who Gerald Genta is, if you know what the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak and the Patek Philippe Nautilus are, he designed those two watches. So he's really a very cool watch that Ard has. Okay, and the bottom right there is a Girard-Perregaux alarm. I didn't even know they had an alarm. I knew that Vulcain did, and I have a Russian alarm, but I didn't realize that Girard-Perregaux made one. So there are so many things I discovered in this collection that it's just been a real joy to go through. All right, now this next group of watches, these are all Omegas. And again, there were ones I didn't realize they had, which makes it a lot more fun. Up in the upper left there is a Max Bill with nothing but the only number on it is the date at 6 o'clock. It's such a cool watch. There's an early Omega Speedmaster chronograph, and with a metal bracelet to it up in the upper right. And the lower left is a real surprise. It's an electronic, an Omega electronic with a frequency of 300 hertz. Now they got this using a tuning fork. It sounds like what the early Accutrons had too. So it's another really very, very interesting watch that I knew nothing about. And finally is the Omega Geneve Racing dial. And this is just a cool dial, all those little checkered flags around it, and using them as the main indexes. All right, now this next group of watches is these. I couldn't get all the Rolexes that Ard had in his collection. And so I picked ones that I liked the best in this one. Up in the upper left, one of my favorite Rolexes, the Milgauss, and they had a picture. There was a bigger picture that I had to make smaller, but there were all these oranges, and the Milgauss was in the middle of the oranges. Really, that's like I said, it's one of my favorite Rolexes. Another favorite is one I really, really like, and this is a Yacht Master. And this one with a silver dial and stainless steel around it. This is a good looking Yacht Master. I think it's one of the older ones. This is the other thing about Ard's collection. There's some newer ones, there's some older ones, all kinds of mix in there, vintage plus brand new. Lower left there is Daytona, and the lower right is an Explorer 2. The Polar, which is the one I happen to like the best. It's sort of that some of the photographs had unusual context to it, and that's okay. It makes it more interesting that way, I think. All right. Now, this next group is another group. It's, wow, where do you get these neat watches? First of all is a Hamilton Deck watch. I didn't even know about this thing. It's got a little thing you got to put that comes in a box. It's not like a marine chronometer. It's called a deck watch, and you're supposed to put it with the dial up on the deck, and it tells you all about winding. And the winding indicator at 12 o'clock is like the old chronometers. When it's fully wound, it goes back to 0, which is the last time it was wound. This one's totally unwound. It's down, and it's some looks like around 48 hours, something on it like that. Another cool watch that, like I said, I never heard of. Next to it is a Longines Comet. This is from the 70s, and Ard mentioned that, well, this one probably, it was before its time. Here you've got this giant hour arrow in the middle, and then you have this little dot going around the inner bezel, and for the time, a cool watch. And at the same time, down the lower left is a Lemania 105. Not the caliber. The caliber is 1275. Now, this is from the 1950s, and it's a chronograph, a Lemania chronograph. The lower right is an Oris, the neatest Oris. Now, it's called a Meistertascher, but essentially what it is, it's a regulator diving watch. And Ard pointed out, he said, you got that great big minute hand. He said, that's the only one that really counts when you're diving. Now, I'm not a diver, so I'll take his word for it. That I guess that tells you how much air you got left. And he said, but that's the one to have. And I thought, of course it is. That makes a whole lot of sense. If I were diving, I'd want a great big minute hand to let me know how much air I have left. This next group of watches, this was one that is really interesting. In the upper left there is a Vacheron Constantin small seconds. May have another name to it, I don't know. But it's got a 4400 movement in it. Now, my Vacheron Constantin Historiques Américain 1921 has the same movement. And I think that one came out in 2013. Not positive, but I think it's right around there is when that came out. And it was the first one to have this movement. So this movement in the Vacheron Constantin small seconds is the same one. And it's an excellent movement. It's a hand-wound movement, and it takes a while to wind it up. But man, that is a gorgeous watch. I'm just one I'm not familiar with. That was some of the watches that I found here. Now, in the upper left is a Jaeger-LeCoultre DSC 04. And this one, and then the one below it is a Jaeger-LeCoultre Master Compressor chronograph. Both of them are chronographs. And once I was like, where did these come from? And both of them are really cool, especially if you're into chronographs. I don't happen to be, that I do appreciate them, though. All right. This next group this has got one of my favorite watches. They have a Doxa Sub 1200T. Now, in the recent Grand Prix, in fact, the one that's going on now, One of the watches that didn't make the cut was, I think, a sort of a reintroduction of this sub 1200. It didn't get to the pre-selected, but I liked it a lot. And it looks like it's got that big turtle, flat turtle, Seiko turtle kind of flat background to the dial. Just, I don't know why, I'm just nuts about this watch. It runs on an ETA. To the right of it, there's a close-up that Ard provided, and I can see why. I mean, look at the detail. It's really a beautiful watch. This is from the top of the bezel. Now, below it is another interesting watch. It's an in-a-car chronograph, and it runs on a Valjoux 72. This is from 1970. Beautiful movement. Just love that movement. Instead of having these great, big, fat, stupid plates, it has all these little delicate bridges in there. And so you can see it all. Of course, it's got a solid case back, but that's a cool looking, very cool looking movement. Okay, the final one, as if there wasn't enough to this collection, there are a couple Patek Philippe. And there was another one that had one I think that he used to have, and this was a Argonaut. And but these two I think would make anybody's collection sit up and take notice. First of all is the 5170G, which is a chronograph, and it's one I'm again, like I said, it's one I'm not familiar with. It's a beautiful watch, and the movement, the 29535, is again, it has, instead of those big stupid plates, it's got all of these little bridges, and you can see the movement. Gorgeous, gorgeous watch. I love it, and it's also a hand wound watch too. Now to the right is the famous Nautilus, the 5711. And this watch, I'm sure you're familiar with it, one that people wait years to get, and it's really a gorgeous watch. And in the back, you've got there they just say, well, if we're gonna have this big rotor cover everything, we might as well have these big plates. If you look at the difference between the 29535 and the caliber 26330 SC, well, you can see which one shows you more of the movement, but looking at that giant gold rotor isn't that difficult to do. Now, what do you tell somebody? Well, this is what I'd recommend. Well, first of all, it sounds worse than pretentious to tell somebody or even suggest to someone with this kind of collection, well, this is what you ought to get next. But a couple of things I noticed, at least I couldn't find it anyway. One, pretty sure Ard is from the Netherlands. And if there are some Dutch watchmakers who are quite good. Groeneveld, I think, is one, and another one is Christian van der Klaauw. So I would suggest one of those. Also, too, I don't remember seeing any German watches. So I think Lang and Hein or Rolf Lang, either one of those, I think would be a great one. Or a Longa, a Glashütte original. But I think that there's more toward the handmade ones. I think, given a collection like this, there's so little it doesn't have, and here you have a guy who's a collector who knows a lot about watches and collection. Just really some gorgeous things in there. Well, listen, like I said, this is only part of the story. There are more watches. I think, God, if I had half of the Rolexes that were there, I'd be fortunate to say so. But very much like to hear from you, any ideas, suggestions, or any insights that you got from this collection that you might say, this might be something I'd like too. So until next Friday, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Outside, the Art and Science of Watch Collection.